Hi there guys, I'm Nikhil from GreedyTech and this is a complete review of the Samsung Galaxy J8 after 1 month. Samsung has launched this phone at 19,000 rupees and it's sold online exclusively on Flipkart, Amazon and Paytm in 3 colors, black, blue and gold. And I have the black color. Now just from quick initial impressions, this phone looks exactly like the J8 with a bigger display and an extra camera on the back. Now with that said, let's see what this device is all about. Now before we get started, let's have a quick physical overview. Now this phone has a plastic back panel with a polycarbonate shell with a nice matte finish. It is made of plastic but doesn't feel any cheap. Now with that said, at the top it has the dual camera setup with a small camera bump followed by a small fingerprint scanner, a single LED flash and Samsung branding. Oddly enough, on the right side it has the speaker and the power button. At the top it is completely plain. At the bottom it has a 3.5mm audio jack, a primary microphone hole, along with a micro USB charging port. On the left side it has the volume buttons made of metal which have a nice clicky sound to them. Below that it has 2 SIM card trays that houses 2 nano SIM slots along with a dedicated SD card slot. On the front it has a massive display with a front facing camera, earpiece and an LED flash above the display, and it is completely plain at the bottom. Now with all that said, it has a thickness of 8.2mm and weighs just 177 grams. Now because of the new 18.5:9 aspect ratio, phone fits comfortably in the hand. If you have huge hands like mine, you can use it single-handedly, but for most people out there, you have to use this phone with 2 hands. Now coming to the back panel once again, there is no anti-fingerprint coating, so it gets smudged and looks dirty pretty easily, and it doesn't come with any free case in the box. I've been using this phone for about a week and have to take really good care of it to avoid any scratches. So if you're gonna buy this phone, you definitely need to invest a little in a good case. Now coming to the weight, it weighs 177 grams and that sounds heavy. But because of the weight distribution, phone doesn't feel all that heavy. Definitely not like the Redmi Note 5 or the Note 5 Pro, which weigh about 180 grams. So when compared to those phones, this phone definitely feels sleeker and weighs less than those phones, even though there isn't a huge difference. So on the whole, in terms of design and build, it is pretty well built and looks pretty good. Not the best out there, but pretty decent. Now coming to the hardware section, this phone is missing a lot of things. Like it doesn't have an ambient sensor, no gyroscope, no compass, and it doesn't even have an LED notification light. All it has is an accelerometer, proximity sensor, which are like the basic sensors that every phone should have. It also has FM radio, face unlock feature, and a fingerprint scanner. And that's all. Without ambient light sensor, you can't use auto brightness or ambient display. Without gyroscope, you can't watch 360-degree videos. Without compass, you'll have trouble with navigation. Even entry-level phones which cost around 7,000 rupees come with all these basic sensors, while this phone costs about 19,000 rupees and it still doesn't come with all the basic sensors. Now coming to the fingerprint scanner, it is fast, it's responsive and it is accurate. It works and it gets the job done, but most of the time, it's not easily traceable. Your finger will be always tracing for the fingerprint scanner. Anyways, mine does. Now in that process, you might also smudge the rear camera. So that's one thing I really don't like about this fingerprint scanner. Now with that out of the way, now the fingerprint scanner also supports gestures. We can swipe up or down on the fingerprint scanner to pull down the notification bar. And that's something I'm really addicted to. Now coming to the face unlock feature, it works, it is fast but not super fast. It takes like a second to unlock the phone in good lighting conditions. Even in low lighting conditions, it kinda works, but in complete darkness, it doesn't work. By the way, it isn't very secure or reliable. It unlocks the phone even if your eyes are closed, and if you're wearing any glasses, then it simply doesn't work. So on the whole, face unlock works, but it isn't very reliable or secure. So I would suggest you to use the fingerprint scanner instead. Now coming to the network performance, I've used Airtel and Jio SIMs on this phone, and I didn't have any issues with call quality or signal reception. We can even make and receive video calls directly from the phone dialer, so that's a really nice thing about this phone. It also comes with a dedicated SD card slot, so if 64GB of storage is not sufficient for you, we can always add in an SD card and expand the storage. Now that's another nice thing about this phone. So guys, on the whole, in the hardware department, there isn't any major issue, everything works perfectly. But considering the price, I wish it had all the basic sensors like the ambient sensor, gyroscope and compass. That's the only major con in the hardware department. Now coming to the display, this phone packs a massive 6-inch Super AMOLED display with the new 18.5:9 aspect ratio, but with just HD Plus resolution. It has 66% screen to body ratio. Bezels on either side are quite small, but at the top and bottom, they are quite huge. I personally love AMOLED displays because of the saturated colors and the deeper blacks. And the same goes even for this display. It has good sunlight legibility, blacks look amazing, and colors pop out a lot. For regular usage like making calls, watching videos, checking mails and browsing, there's no problem with the display. But if you're someone who plays a lot of games, especially games like Modern Combat 5, Asphalt 8 or even PUBG, you will be disappointed. Well, the display looks great, there's no doubt about it, but the lack of resolution is really noticeable in those games. So in terms of user experience, especially while gaming, it takes a small hit. In all my usage, which didn't involve any gaming, didn't have any issues with the display. I couldn't notice any pixels either. Now with that said, the one thing missing on this phone is the ambient sensor. Now this phone doesn't have any auto brightness or ambient display feature, so you have to manually increase or decrease the screen brightness depending upon your surrounding. Now this phone has amazing sunlight legibility, display can go very bright once you turn on outdoor mode, but you have to do it manually every time. So that's the only thing I didn't like about the display. Now there are other display related features like the blue light filter, different display modes, themes, font styles and many more, but it doesn't have always on display. So on the whole in the display department, it's a pretty good display, it just lacks resolution and there is no auto brightness option. Those are the only two problems. Except for gaming, this display is really good for regular usage and especially for media consumption, like watching videos. Now coming to the camera department, on the rear this phone packs a dual camera setup with a 16 megapixel primary camera and a 5 megapixel secondary camera used for depth sensing, and on the front, it has a 16 megapixel front facing camera with a dedicated flash. Now I've already posted a dedicated video on the camera review, so check that out for more information and sample shots, but here's the gist. This is how the camera interface looks like. There are a lot of cool software features like the Bixby Vision, live focus mode to take portrait shots using the rear camera, selfie focus mode to take portrait selfies, wide selfie mode, panoramas, stickers and many more. Now coming to the camera performance, rear cameras are really good on this phone. You get good color reproduction, capturing speeds are good, dynamic range is good. It also has auto HDR and it works pretty well. Now coming to the front facing camera, it does take some pretty good selfies, but most of the time, selfies are a bit overexposed. I would say it's okay, but not the best. Now these are some portrait shots taken using the rear camera. Edge detection isn't perfect, but portrait shots do look pretty good, especially in terms of color reproduction. Now for portrait selfies, edge detection is good, but selfies once again look a bit blown out. Now coming to video recording, we can only record video at a maximum of 1080p, there is no electronic image stabilization, so the footage is pretty shaky and looks pretty bad. Footage quality looks good, but I wish it had stabilization. For the front camera video recording, once again footage is a bit overexposed and doesn't look all that good. Even in low lighting conditions, regular shots and selfies look a bit overexposed. So on the whole, in the camera department, rear cameras are good on this phone. It definitely takes pretty good portrait shots, but for selfies and portrait selfies, Samsung really needs to improve them. Now coming to performance, this phone sports a Snapdragon 450 processor with 4GB of RAM and 64GB of storage. It is the same processor we have been seeing on the Redmi 5, Honor 7C and even the Moto G6. So in terms of price to performance ratio, processor on this phone isn't anything to brag about, but still, it's a pretty good processor. Now these are the Antutu and Geekbench scores. Now this is definitely an entry-level processor, but because of 4GB of RAM and good software optimization, everything felt pretty responsive. In all my usage, everything was pretty responsive and I didn't notice any kind of lag. So on the whole, I must say performance is pretty good. Now coming to gaming performance, this phone sports an Adreno 506 GPU, which is the same GPU seen in the Redmi Note 4, Redmi Note 5, which comes with a Snapdragon 625 processor. And this phone also comes with just HD Plus resolution. So when it comes to gaming, there won't be any issues with performance. You will be able to play all the high-end games like Asphalt 8 or even the Modern Combat 5 without any lag, but the visuals won't look all that great because of that HD Plus resolution. Even while gaming for extended period of time, I didn't notice any heating issues. Like any other phone, it does get hot, but there isn't any other issue. Now coming to the software department, this phone is running Samsung Experience version 9 based on Android Oreo 8.0.0. In terms of UI and overall look and feel, it looks exactly like the previous TouchWiz UI, but in terms of responsiveness and optimization, Samsung has really improved it. So right now it comes with a lot of cool software features like themes, gestures, split screen mode and many more. but still it is pretty responsive. Now it's been like 40 days since the phone has been launched, and till now I've just got only one update with July security patch, so that's pretty good. Even in terms of performance and responsiveness after 1 month, this phone is performing pretty well. So on the whole, software as of now is pretty good. We are also getting regular security updates, so that's a pretty great thing. And even after a month, phone feels pretty responsive, just like a brand new phone. And that's pretty rare for a Samsung phone. Now coming to the audio department, this phone has a single speaker on the right side, which is really a weird place to place it, and I've never seen any other phones do that. But it works, it is loud, and it doesn't come in the way even while watching videos or playing games. So that's a pretty good thing. It also comes with Dolby Atmos audio enhancement to improve the audio experience on headset, and this phone definitely sounds better than regular phones like Redmi Note 5 or the Redmi Note 5 Pro. So if you're an audiophile, then you'll definitely love the audio signature on this phone. Now coming to the battery department, this phone packs a 3000 mAh battery, comes with a micro USB charging port and a regular 10 watts power adapter. Even the processor used in this phone is built using the 14nm architecture, so it is power efficient and you get pretty good battery life. In my regular day-to-day usage, I got about 4 to 5 hours of screen on time, and by the end of the day, I had at least 15 to 20% of battery left. So even in terms of battery life, it is doing a pretty good job. Now this phone also comes with a lot of battery saving modes, like it has the max power saving mode. Now once you enable it, everything will be killed in the background and you will have access to only few applications, but your phone's standby time will increase a lot. So even if you are a heavy user, we have these things like power saving modes to keep you going throughout the day. So guys, to conclude, there isn't anything fancy going on with this phone. It's a regular phone from Samsung with a lot of missing sensors, entry-level performance, with good cameras. Now with that said, this is definitely not a great value for money, and I would definitely not recommend you this phone to anyone. If you want my suggestion, you can go with Redmi Note 5 Pro, Mi A2, even the Honor Play for better performance, better display and better cameras. Now with all that said, if you're a hardcore Samsung fan and you just want to buy a Samsung phone, you can buy this phone. It is performing very smoothly, it is pretty responsive, cameras are also pretty good, and you also get a Super AMOLED display, which is really good for media consumption, especially for watching videos. So guys, what do you think about this phone? Will you buy it or consider other phones like the Mi A2 or the Honor Play? Do let me know by commenting below this video, and if you want us to make any specific video, tweet out to us with the hashtag AskGreedyTech on Twitter and we will try to make it as soon as possible. I'm Nikhil from GreedyTech signing off. Have a nice day.